It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Linda Baas McClelland.
And this is It's Movie Time.
Oh boy.
Now, Linda.
John.
A film just coming out today called The Lovers.
Yep.
Well, now, that sounds very French kind to me.
Well, the title makes you expect one thing, but what you see is entirely different. The movie is very understated. Very understated.
What's it about?
Well, Michael and Mary, played by Deborah Winger and Tracy Letts, who are excellent. Their married life is obviously stale, and they both strayed into other relationships.
Yeah.
The film never dwells on the reason both husband and wife have found other lovers, but maybe their hostilities may well be below the surface. You never know, because it's such a quiet movie.
Well, yeah, and the choice of actors, for instance, the two lovers, Robert and Lucy,
yeah.
Robert, are attractive in their own middle-aged way. He particularly handsome. She, as a ballet instructor, is very fit.
Very high-strung.
And really off the rails almost.
Yeah.
But you can see where they were looking for a particular energy that they don't have. I mean, I think one of the things that strikes me about the film is, first of all, it's certainly boring in many ways. Because most people's lives are boring in many ways, right?
Tedious.
Right. So I think they got it. I think director Azazel Jacobs and writer nailed it just right.
Right. The opening scenes with their respective lovers are so emotionally reserved. I didn't feel any chemistry between these people at all. And
not husband and wife, you mean, and lovers.
I mean with their lovers, with Lucy and Robert. I didn't feel anything at all. Why do they fancy these people? But each tells their lover that they intend to leave their spouse for them.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a tale told 1,000,000 times a day, probably, between people who are engaged to each other, married to each other, but also have lovers. I suspect that the same kind of almost lies are being told all the time, and it's really, and the realism of this is that how many times have you thought, yeah, he's probably promised her that he's going to leave his wife, but he's just never going to do it.
Right.
You know, how many times have women and men been caught in that bind?
But they have a good excuse, because there is a visit from Joel, their son, which kind of puts everything on hold. So they can use that as an excuse for like keeping things off.
Yeah.
But before their son's visit, the film is sent into an entirely different direction. Michael and Mary rekindle their feelings for each other.
Now, Lindy, what is that all about?
I don't know. And you see more passion and emotion and affection demonstrated between the husband and wife than you do with their lovers.
I know, this is so, I suspect, again, not unusual, and another reason I love the kind of cinema verite of this, the truthfulness of it is, look, they were attracted to each other years ago, and now they're planning to leave each other, so wouldn't it, I expect that they might rekindle that original passion as they're getting ready to leave. In other words, I'm thinking of this as a kind of paradigm for breaking up.
Right. It's an emotional hiccup before they actually split up.
Right. And isn't it similar to when two people viciously argue, and then it's a cliche.
Right.
They get back again passionately.
Right.
So I see the same kind of parallel with this, in order to explain how these two people suddenly, after all these years of boredom, re-fall in love with each other.
But then Joel, their son, before he gets to their parents' house, he tells his girlfriend, my mother and my father, they hate each other. So when they arrive, he sees his mother and father kissing, they're holding hands. He's confused and doesn't know what to make of this tenderness that he sees between them. Like, what is going on?
I'll tell you, that's a great point. And it's one where I still am thinking it over. Whether I buy that whole act by the son, I understand he believes they're hypocritical. but then his act becomes almost really weird.
Yeah.
He becomes incensed.
Right.
He becomes physically violent. I just, that, everything else to me has been truthful.
Right.
At that point, I thought, whoa, the writer has just gone a bit,
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
And also, I think his acting ability is a little bit far below the others. And
Good point.
At one point, I noticed that he kept looking into the looking at the camera when he shouldn't have been. So he seemed like a real amateur. But yeah, it was out of sync with the rest of the film.
I wanted to mention that as well. The acting is, by the principals, is superior.
Oh.
For instance, Deborah Winger, who many years ago dropped out of filmmaking because she was in Officer and Gentleman.
Oh, one of my favorites. With,
Terms of Endearment.
Richard Gere.
Urban Cowboy.
Yep. Oh, she was wonderful. So I think, I think she is very careful about what films she appears in, because she is so good. And,
let me add to this. I believe she dropped out at age 40 because there just weren't the roles that she wanted, as is
that's
typical.
Probably true.
Yeah, as is typical.
Yeah, that's probably
And she's
true.
back again, showing that grittiness that she has, that
Right.
she brings to the film, is just as she excited it years ago.
And every emotion is seen in her eyes, on her face. I mean, you can see fear, desire, anger, happiness, because there's very little dialogue in the movie. The score by Mandy Hoffman moves the feelings along. Excuse me. The score by Mandy Hoffman moves the feelings along more than the dialogue does.
Yeah, too much, as I thought.
Do you think so?
Oh, I think so.
Well, it kind of swelled
prompting
and moved.
it.
Yeah,
Right. Tracy Letts, who plays
Michael.
Tracy Letts, who plays Michael, is not only a fine actor, kind of a schlubby guy looking.
Right, yeah.
He doesn't have any problem with showing his stomach, his middle-agedness.
Yeah.
But you know that he is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author?
That's right. I read that. Yes.
August Osage County.
Right.
Woohoo! I mean,
And
and
I
a
believe
Tony.
he does acting on the stage too, more maybe than in the movies.
Quite a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he reminds me of Sam Shepard in that sense, that Shepard can act, but he also can create these brilliant plays.
Yeah.
That's pretty good stuff. Let's brings an authenticity to it for me.
Definitely.
I think there are points where his is a better role than hers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
So, Linda,
John.
it's called The Lovers. First of all, get over your prejudice about seeing older people making love.
That's right. Well, if there's a lesson to be learned by this film, it maybe is that life can still renew the capacity for love, regardless of your age.
Well, thank you, Linda. I'm so glad to know that. I'm going to be looking forward to that at some point. But you're right. And it does, it's not going to be big at the box office.
No.
You're not going to get
the
desirable audience
no.
to come and see this. But if you want to see fine acting, and if you can endure the banality of it, believe me, the first part of this film is banal because this is their life is that. And they perfectly replicate it. The action comes toward the latter part almost, by contrast, unbelievable. The ending will perplex you.
Yep.
You will talk about it.
Yep.
But I think that's what makes it a rich film. So Linda Baas McClelland. The film is The Lovers. What grade would you award it?
Because of the acting, I'm going to give it a B.
All right. And I totally agree with you. See, you and I can get along.